Chapter 5, Documentary Films. Let's get into Going Clear, Scientology and the Prison of Belief. This one is directed by Alex Gibney, and I won't do a cast because it's a documentary. And the synopsis is a documentary looking at the inner workings of the Church of Scientology. If you don't know Alex Gibney, he's a very, very prolific, diverse documentarian. He's done all sorts of subjects and fields and genres, and you name it, he's probably covered it. I encourage you to check out more of his movies if you are unfamiliar with them. When this one came out, I knew a little bit about Scientology, not much, though I had heard the name mentioned, but this is one, and it goes into Alex Gibney's style. He's a documentary filmmaker, and his style is one that you would show in a class. He's not necessarily the most cinematic or the most in-your-face stylistic filmmaker. He's one that, hey, you want to learn about Scientology, you want to learn about this artist, this moment in political history, watch this in a class, in a history class, in a college class. And so that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's also not always a great thing, because sometimes when you're watching it, you're like, all right, this is just facts being thrown at me. But at the same time, he is a documentarian and his job is to document things. And so I'm glad that someone like Alex Gibney exists and how prolific he is, because he's making sure that a lot of these stories and a lot of these moments in time are not lost. And yeah, there are other people who make documentaries, obviously, but he is, in my opinion, one of the best and one of the most well-respected in terms of all the things that he's covered. This is my favorite of the ones I've seen so far of his. There's still a handful that I have not watched yet, but some of it depends entirely on the subject matter and your interest in that. And that goes back into his style, because Scientology to me is disturbing and horrifying and bizarre, and that alone makes the story interesting more so than some of the other areas and subjects that he's covered. But if you don't know anything about Scientology, check out the movie My Scientology Movie. That's really good. The Leah Remini series is also very interesting. It's a crazy, real world, true story. I still cannot believe that this sort of thing exists, and it's still technically considered a religion. But obviously, if you watch anything about it, you know anything about it. It's really more of a cult in terms of how they operate themselves and the stories of abuse and really torture, the surveillance, the stalking. It's insane. And this is pretty good, one of the better ones out there about Scientology. And it does give you a fairly well-rounded look into this. It doesn't always give you a deeper look, but it presents things fairly well to where you could watch this and come out thinking, all right, I have an understanding of what this is, which is an accomplishment. That's a good thing. So I'm glad Alex Gibney does what he does. But otherwise, it has a lot of interesting interviews with people who are involved with Scientology. It talks a little bit about people in the celebrity world like Tom Cruise and Leah Remini, who were or still are in Scientology. So it gives you that look at all the different sorts of people within society, especially the ones who are very, very rich and powerful, who are part of this. And that makes it even scarier. And all of these strange practices and traditions and the compounds that you can call them, where they operate and do a lot of their services and whatnot, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty spooky and weird, but it's a very darkly fascinating thing in today's world, and I wish it didn't exist, but it's good that people are taking the time to try and document it and do an expose on it, as Alex Gibney did. Very worth a watch, and one of Alex Gibney's better movies, as I said. So definitely give it a look. If you are not a huge documentary person, get more documentaries under your belt. There's a lot of amazing movies out there. I feel like these days, I don't hear many people talk about documentaries, but there's a lot of amazing ones out there and plenty of great ones still being made. So please do check them out. Check out Alex Gibney and make sure you know about Scientology, because it is very real, unfortunately. So that one is a 4 out of 5. All right, well, I won't be doing this every single time, considering this is just the first part of this series, but thank you for joining us. Please follow us on social media at FilmBuds, me and my wife and co-host Elle on Letterboxd. You can check us out on YouTube. All of our content is being uploaded there as well. Subscribe, rate, review, tell your friends. Let us know about any suggestions you have, comments, questions. We'd love to hear from everybody and anybody out there. So thanks as always for joining us, and see you next time.